guys, I'm Steph. I'm going to show you a little craft that I find easier to do with little ones for Halloween. We all love scooping out, the brains of the pumpkin, getting our seeds for roasting. But a lot of little ones find it hard, trying to cut through a pumpkin is actually really difficult for little ones. So this is a fun activity where you can kind of upgrade your Halloween pumpkin and then still be able to use it for pumpkin pie, pumpkin soup, make pumpkin puree, instead of just having to yeet it in the compost. So the trick today is temporary tattoos. I could not find my Halloween temporary tattoos this morning. I have somewhere. I put them in a safe spot. Moms, we all have this, that safe spot, and then we go to use it, go to get it, and we can't find where that safe spot was. So I've got some St. Patrick's Day temporary tattoos, but this will work with any temporary tattoos. You can find at the dollar store lots of, scars or the Day of the Dead skeleton ones for putting on your face instead of having to draw with makeup and moms, I know you're out there and trying to get those perfect Halloween face paints that will last all day at school or all evening for trick-or-treating, and they just come out back just a mess. So they've come out with temporary tattoos for all that. They can be great, time saver, look great, but they can also be used on pumpkins. So I've got one here. And you just put it on like any regular temporary tattoo. So I've cut out some. You remove the backing. Find a nice spot on your pumpkin. Put them down. Wet the back. Well, I smushed those a little. They're old, so they're not working the greatest, but you can see you can use temporary tattoos on your pumpkin. And then when you're done, after Halloween, so yes, you won't have a candle inside and it won't glow like that, but put some candles around it, put a flashlight on it. You'll be able to see your glow sticks work well too. You'll be able to see your creations. You can also use acrylic paint. But the great thing about the temporary tattoos or acrylic paint, you can then, after Halloween is done, wash them off, and you have a lovely pumpkin that's ready to use and still be used as food. Thousands of tons of food waste goes into the garbage on Halloween or after Halloween because we've carved up our pumpkins and then they're no good to use. They're no good to eat. So it's a fun activity for kids. It's easier than using sharp knives and having kids fight with trying to cut. They can paint temporary tattoos, but then you can wash it and still use it for food. And then, like I said, kids love playing in slimy pumpkin seed brains, get the seeds out, roast the seeds. It's still a great activity that you can do. After Halloween, you bring your pumpkin inside, grab a knife. This is for the adult. And you can just cut it in half. And you still have a bowl full of brains the kids can scoop through. Much easier to scoop out than having a small hole at the top or bottom, depending on which way you're doing it. All cleaned out and ready for the kids to separate the seeds from the guts. So, yes, pumpkin pie is usually made with sugar pumpkins, and a lot of other baking pumpkin desserts are made with. They're a much smaller pumpkin, about that size, you know, slightly bigger than a large grapefruit. But you can definitely use pumpkin puree from a jack-o'-lantern pumpkin. And it's fun and it's easy. So all you do after Halloween, you scoop out you wash off your pumpkin, you scoop it out, and you cut it up. Doesn't have to be pretty. I like to cut it into just these large chunks and put them on a lined baking sheet and right in the oven. When they come out, these ones I baked earlier, comes out like this. I let them cool, and then I can peel the skin right off. The skin I put in a dehydrator and make pumpkin skin chips. It's also great for making into a powder and adding it to mixing the pumpkin skin powder with grinding up the dried skin into a powder, and then you mix it with a little bit of cinnamon, sugar, nutmeg, and then you've got a pumpkin spice topping. Great for all those pumpkin spice treats, desserts, drinks, whatnot. Sometimes even after baking, you might need a little bit of help getting the skin off, but most of it just comes right off super easy. And there we go. We've got some baked pumpkin. And you can mash this up and make it like kind of a baked turnip, baked potato kind of thing, mashed potato. Put it in a blender and puree it like this. Add some, spices. To make it more like those sugar pumpkins, you're going to add a little bit more of like brown sugar or maple or honey are great to use. You can use just white sugar as well. These I'm actually going to be putting in the freeze dryer to make my pumpkin powder. But first, some of it, so I've already done one pumpkin. That's what this is from. It's the same size as this one. And the only thing that is getting thrown out is my little stem. The seeds, I'll use the guts around the seeds. I'll throw them in the freeze dryer as well to add to my pumpkin powder. The skin, as I said, I'm going to dry and make it into a powder. And then that way I can reconstitute it into a puree or mash kind of thing anytime I need pumpkin puree. But I'm also going to make a soup. For the soup, I'm going to use some of this roasted pumpkin, and I'm going to roast up some peppers and onions and garlic, which we'll get to in just a moment. Alright, so I'm going to put my vegetables for my soup. I've just got some red peppers, some yellow peppers, some onion. I didn't have any whole cloves of garlic, so I took some crushed garlic and sprinkled it on. Got some avocado oil. I usually use this in my cast iron spray, but I just spray it all over. And now we're going to put it in my air fryer oven. As you can see down here, this is where your oven usually goes. I don't have one. It caught fire. It was old. So, and I never used the big oven much. So instead I've put my dishwasher. Fits right in the oven spot. And I have a 2-burner electric stovetop. And my air fryer, oven, rotisserie, toaster, 12 all-in-one unit here. So far it's been working great. So, like I said, I'm just going to put these vegetables in to roast. Or bake, or air fry, whatever you want to call it. Until they're all bubbly and toasty and kind of caramelized from baking. A little when it gets all black, but it's not actually burnt from roasting. We'll see if that can help, or that will help. It'll bring out lots of those fall flavors of roasted red and yellow peppers, roasted onions, and garlic. Great for our soup. So, those vegetables have come out of the air fryer. Nice and roasted. Little bit of char on there, but that is great. It's going to add some nice flavor. There's not too much. And what we're going to do, so I've got a pot on my little stove here. Just has some chicken stock in there. Just barely a cup of chicken stock. We're going to add in all our roasted vegetables. onions and peppers and garlic. If I had some carrots, I'd add some carrots too. But you get all that nice roasted garlic that stuck to the tin foil. I'm gonna add some of that roasted pumpkin. Kind of break it up. It just falls right apart. It's so soft. Another big piece. There we go. So we just want to heat this up. It's basically already totally cooked. Heat it back up. Mix it together. But the trick to getting the soup is an immersion blender. You can do this in a regular blender. You just take some of the chunks out, blend them up, pour them back in. Add some more chunks to a blender, pour them back in your soup pot. But with an immersion blender, you can just right in the pot. Woo! Turn it down a bit. It's starting to bubble and splatter. Woo! Maybe move it off the hot. Go. So that's looking really thick. So you can add some more chicken stock or just some water. I'm going to make this a more cream soup. So I'm just going to add some milk. As you can see, I don't measure. Measure with our heart, our eyes, our mouths. Taste and feel. Like a little bit more. So it's probably about a cup of milk in there now. Cup of milk, cup of chicken stock, 2 peppers, 2 onions, some garlic, and I'd say a 1/6 of one of those pumpkins, so about probably a can worth of pumpkin puree if you were going by the cans. So now I don't have any nutmeg. Kind of want to add some nutmeg to it just to give it that fall, but I do have some pumpkin pie spice. It's a little bit more than I'd like. And pumpkin pie spice is easy to make yourself. Cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger, clove, star anise. Grind them, mix them, and that's pumpkin pie spice. So I'm just going to add just a little shake shake. Let's stir it up. Yes, that really smells like fall. Nice, savory, sweet. Grab a different spoon. Let's give this a taste. So good. Those roasted peppers and onions. So that milk we put in cooled it down just a little bit. So I'm just going to warm it back up a little bit more. Get my bowl. So I've got a bowl here. It's nice and warm. Oh, looks like I still got some chunks. That's okay if you still have chunks. Ooh. Doesn't take much to warm up. And I like to do a little finishing touch with some sour cream. A nice little dollop. On top. Another little sprig of spice. And there you go. Easy, simple, delicious, warm, creamy, roasted vegetable pumpkin soup. There's no need for thousands of tons of pumpkins to go to waste. You can have it for lunch. Because why not?